that. But the more you ask questions, and I mean, even just the meditation, if I'm just lying there and just, okay, now I feel something on my face, now I feel something on my leg, and just being aware and allowing your body to tell you the story, you can have a profound experience doing that.
The question that you ask to yourself will naturally unfold the stories that we create in our mind.
Hello, everyone. It's time for Feel Good, Share Good's Real Talk Show, where we get real to heal. I'm Siobhan Shaw, your host for this evening, and our topic is really a very important one for absolutely everybody out there in the audience, because we all want to feel good fast. So we're going to learn tonight how to clear negative emotions quickly. Get them out now. And tonight's guest is a friend of mine from a long time ago. Through energy clearing mastery, Michael helps people break through major roadblocks, achieving miracles like manifesting wealth, finding love, and even overcoming chronic pain.
You know, what are we actually tapping into? You know, what are we releasing within ourselves when we're going into a deeper state of relaxation, or influencing our imagination, or tapping into feelings, right? Which tell a story and go back on a timeline into our past. And isn't that energy? But you know, when you do hypnosis, you're manipulating the person's energy. You're right. A person can change their energy. And that's how I got into this, learning self-hypnosis, because my father was really abusive, and I knew I had an emotional issue, and I knew I had to do something about it. And self-hypnosis books were the answer to my prayer at the time. And so I got really good at that, to the point where I was able to go up to my dad, who was super abusive, very short-tempered, for many, many years. You know, I had a hard time making friends. I was extremely shy in school, just very reserved and traumatized, basically. And through working with myself, I was able to go up to him when I was about 20 years old or so and say, "Dad, I forgive you." And he was like, "For what?" I was like, "Well, you were really abusive. Don't you remember?" You know, later on, I, have more awareness as far as, why he doesn't remember that. But I was able to get to a place to forgive him. And after that experience, I'm like, man, I really want to share this with more people. So I started doing stage hypnosis shows at high schools, colleges, campgrounds, corporate events and things. And ended up going on TV and everything, with the intention to, like, because most people don't know the power of the mind in the populace, right? Maybe a lot of us do, that are attracted to this information. But most people just don't even know that's a thing, right? Or maybe it seems like a magic show when you do it like as a hypnosis show. So I always tried to really convey, like, hey, there's more to ourselves, and we can do things that can shift our limitations, right? And over the past years, doing a lot of hypnosis demonstrations, I came to the point where I'm just like, for me, myself, if you do hypnotherapy, I respect that. I came to the place where I'm like, I don't know if that's something I want to do anymore. There's something weird about it. Especially when you get someone into a place where they don't remember what happened, and you're changing things for them, right?
How does somebody know that there isn't a trigger word, and somebody's put in a suggestion, and then, they hear this trigger word, and
exactly,
they go off and shoot up a town or something?
It's very possible to do that. Once a person's hypnotized to a deep degree where they go into somnambulism, it's kind of like they now have a back door into being put into that state very quickly again. So after I just, made the decision, like, I don't know if I want to put people into these hypnotic states anymore. And, Michael, make me quit smoking. I was like, I don't want to make you do anything. I want to help give you some tools. And so eventually I learned other techniques that basically give us a better result without going into trance. Even remembering past lives without going into a relaxed state. Simply clearing the levels of your consciousness and of the blocks until like, oh, I remember there was a time where I sank in a ship.
Oh, wow.
And because I sank the ship with all the materials for my village that I was going back to with all the supplies for the winter, I all of a sudden make the decision that I screwed up and I let everyone down. So when I work on my business, I procrastinate. People come to these realizations. If you can reliably clear all the levels. So techniques like tapping, right, are phenomenal. And I've been able to get it to basically a very advanced level of diagnostic treatment. And it gives the same type of result. And it's really phenomenal. So what are we clearing, right? What is the energy clearing?
That's right.
Right? Well, what is energy? What is an emotion? How about let's start there. What's an emotion? Energy and motion, right? Well, let's just put a hyphen in between E and motion, right? Energy and motion. What kind of energy and what kind of motion? If we're feeling really good, that's good motion. That's good energy. That's good movement, right? When we're feeling bad, why does tapping even work? Because you're sending a pulse of energy through the meridian to blow out a block so the energy can then flow. Then you feel better, right?
So when you say in the meridian, is it this unseen space running down your entire body or something? Like
It's
a line,
basic.
like a line in the sand or on the highway?
Yeah. Great question, because if you dissect someone, you won't find it. However, if you inject a radioactive substance into a meridian, it will light up just like the graphs and the charts that have been portrayed for thousands of years in the Chinese traditional medicine culture. So they are there,
from your
fluids of energy that moves through.
From your crown to your root, sort of right down the center of your body?
That's a different pathway, and that's a different. However, that is energy. That's an energy pathway. So you can clear in the chakras, right? Just like Kay was saying, like getting your centers clear, right? And so there's many different energy systems, and that's an interesting thing. You have energy meridians where you have chi energy flow through. You have your nervous system where bioelectricity flows through, right? If you were to open up a person's heart and actually touch it, you will get shocked because there's so much bioelectricity.
Oh, wow.
That's a real thing.
Real thing.
And so if you have stoppages of this bioelectricity, you know what you get? Pain. Pain is a lack of conductivity of the signals flowing through your body. That's why being hydrated can actually reduce pain a lot of the times.
So when you get, my hands fall asleep at night sometimes because I do a lot of this kind of sleeping, right? So my elbows are probably in this position a long time. And so sometimes I wake up, and a lot of people probably do that. Their hands are numb. That is an example of the energy not getting through to the tips of your fingers.
That's a good example. Yeah. So a little more physical, but another example. Hey, when you feel bad, when you get really angry, there's a term of, I've had it up to here with you, right? You have an energy stoppage likely around the liver, which is the liver meridian has always been associated with anger. And so you have a stoppage of energy flow. And so it's almost like you take like one of those, you're making like an animal balloon and you cut off one side and there's no more flow and it all builds up in the upper region of your body. I've had it up to here. I'm going to explode. Right.
Right.
And then you'll do something like this. You'll hit the table with the side of your hand. And that's actually a very common point to tap on is the side of the hand. And so you naturally hit these points, or you're frustrated and you're going like this. Well, you're actually making physical contact with meridians on your face, right? You're thinking, right, there's meridians here. right? Or the main
Very
one
interesting.
for your conception vessel, right? We naturally do these things without knowing about it. But if you know how to move through it and basically hack the energy system so you can actually get releases reliably, you are then ruling your energy body in a way that people don't even know is possible. And then how can you actually get over a breakup, a relationship in like 15 minutes to an hour? You know, how can I held my brother's hand when he died, and my family thought there's something wrong with me. But I'm just, hey, I cried when I had tears come down my face when I did a speech for him. I still feel it. I still have tears come down my face when I play my song that I wrote about him. But everyone else is stuck in grieving mode and they can't get over it. You can get through it. You're still going to have human emotions. You're still going to have sadness come up, but you're not going to be stuck in it is the thing, right? Yeah. And so the quality of blocks or lack of blocks determines a lot of what the emotions are. And if you get it right, if you get the combination of tapping right, or you do, you know, a lot of the releases that I work on and doing, they are permanent shifts that don't come back. If you do, you know, if you do tapping and it does come back, it's not that it doesn't work. It's that there's a deeper layer to get to. And so this is where I've taken the opportunity to research a very um, widely known organization that is very controversial. However, they have a proven method to go completely clear, removing all irrationalities. But there's a real method there of how do you go back on the time track to find the root event. And that's what past life therapy has been so great about. You know, when you go back on the past life and you actually fully acknowledge and resolve a past issue. And I do this on a regular basis with people with no trance. And how do you do that? You simply start with where you're at and you allow the story unfold, whether it's a somatic of a feeling in the body of like, I was just working with someone earlier today, just before this call, and he feels like he's being choked when he is doesn't have enough money to spend. Like, why would you feel choked? It has nothing to do with what you're doing. And we go back on the timeline, and 2 lifetimes ago, he had an incident that has very much to do with that. And then it actually all starts to make sense. And when you start to realize and make sense of it and you're able to resolve it, see it in a new unit of time, have forgiveness, release the charge, all of a sudden those pains that you have chronically go away.
I had that happen to me. I didn't have to go to another lifetime either.
Sometimes you don't, right? Yeah.
Early on in my relationship with John, I came home from work and he had dinner ready. And I looked down at the plate of chicken, mashed potatoes, and all I saw was red. All I saw was the red juice from the beets. And I started crying. Of course, I dried my eyes and went on with my life. But it wasn't until Donna and I were writing Journey of the Soul card where I was thinking about all kinds of different things in my journey. And all of a sudden, I remembered beets. And at our big farm table, my sister sat right beside me. And she hated beets. So as a little kid, because I was much younger than her, I connected with her hating beets because she's cool and she's really, really smart. And she and my dad have this intellectual connection that I don't. Like I'm worried about going for a drive by myself with my dad because he'll just lecture me, right? I was always the rebel. I was always the kid in trouble, but she was really smart. She went to university at age 16. They had a lot of intellectual conversations and he would always, speak to her if he wanted to have a great conversation. Whereas it was like me, I was like, he only go shopping with me or yell at me because I was, that sort of thing, or just treat me as the baby of the family, right? So I realized that I wanted my dad's acceptance that she had. So if I hated beets, then I would get it. And he'd passed already. But I remember after that, having a dream where he came to me and he said, "We're all good.
Wow.
I love you. We're all good." And so that cleared an energy. And now I like beets because John and I grow beets.
Something so simple. And here's the key thing that you mentioned, that anyone watching here, you can start to identify these things. You had an uncontrollable, irrational emotion, and you were aware enough to actually make the connections, right? That, I don't think that's very common for most people to start to make that chain and that connection of like, oh, I remember the time with the beats and everything. Normally people just lose it and not even understand why they lost it. But the fact that you were able to be aware is really amazing. And that's the trick. You don't have to use techniques a lot of times if you just have that awareness and then have that resolution. And that's the name of the game. Being fully aware of what is happening.
As I'm listening, right, I'm quite like discerning and looking into what Michael's explanation on how he utilized clearing with past life regression with Siobhan's experiences, and how she finds the root cause and places where she could relate herself to understand those blockages on her own, which I think it takes a lot of awareness. And I'm curious as to what you've mentioned, as I was noting earlier. I wonder with the difference, because you mentioned somatically, someone can feel it in their patterns somatically. Let's say someone, I feel like I'm choking when I'm paying too much bills, or
Yeah.
someone's having a headache when they're having headache, and they're having like bills or anxiety, energetic blocks. These are very common, especially nowadays in the economy, for people who are worried, having that anxiety. How do you differentiate the emotional blockage to an energy blockage, which is like connected to a specific meridian point, or the centers that you're talking about earlier? And how does that relate to resolution to going to past life regression instead of just creating like EFT, right? Because I wonder, how can we bridge the gap, the practicality of things? Say someone don't know or don't want to engage past life regression yet. Maybe they're curious to tapping. How can someone differentiate that symptoms, to understand that more better?
Yeah. Like what was just mentioned, she didn't have to go into a past life because it was this time. It was just this lifetime kind of thing. And so,
Yeah, I got
hey,
enough issues right now.
No, it's
I don't have
great.
to
And
go
so-
to the past.
and so it might not be a past life. It might be something that's in your DNA. It might come from mom or dad and on the chain that is embedded in your DNA that's being triggered. Right? We know that's the thing. In science, they have confirmed that traumas are passed down the DNA. And so you can tap into that. And so to me, I don't think like, okay, I need to get this person to do past life regression. It's more like, okay, as you tune into the perfect example. Today I worked with a guy that can help me clear money blocks. Okay, sure. So how do you know you have money blocks? He's like, well, I have a lot of anxiety. Okay, when's the last time you experienced this anxiety, this frustration, this anger with money? Oh, when I was going to get food and I knew I was spending too much that I didn't have. Okay, and then with that focus, I tune into their energy and I find, okay, which meridian do they need to tap on? Which chakra do they need to clear? Oh, your heart chakra is spinning wrong. Let's correct that. Tap the side of your hand and focus on your heart chakra spinning correctly. Good. So now when you are getting the food, what do you notice now when you think about it? I feel like I'm being choked. Great. When's the first time you remember feeling choked? When I was 8 years old and my cousin or brother used to torment me. Oh, and there's another time where my dad didn't accept me either. Okay, great. Well, let's clear that. So we can resolve that. And then all of a sudden that energy shifts. And then he gets this deep, dark feeling in his stomach that is so visceral that I start feeling sick. And then we clear meridians. Actually, we had to tune into his lower dantian, which is another energy center, right? That why do babies have beer bellies? Because they have an activated lower dantian in that area, right, from the umbilical cord. So we clear the spin with the lower dantian. We get the energy clear out of there. We follow it up and out the body. And at the end of the call, you know, he's feeling completely different, right? And there's still more to go. So I suggest, hey, we should probably go further if we want to clear more. But at this point, you just took off so much baggage of energy. It's going to be easier for you to manifest more money or
Right.
create more clients and things. Does that answer? Kind of a real
It
life example,
did.
right?
I was just curious because there are different layers of the mind, like the subconsciousness and the facade of how our mind works and how it masks all of this coping mechanism from those blockages or small traumas or big traumas. So I wonder, like, because you mentioned about the stage hypnosis, I've never seen such process of stage hypnosis. So I'm curious to the difference between and how you integrate that in your work in clearing blockages. So it does make sense. And I wonder if you create a specific intention, right? And like engaging your clients in clearing. And how does that look like for you?
Yeah, the main intention is, well, what'd you come here for? What do you want? I
Uh-huh.
want more money. I want to feel better. I want to get over this relationship and find a new relationship. So whatever their intention is, that's the intention. And my ability to tune into information, I tune into their higher self, to the highest self I can tune into. And from that point of view, okay, the best thing for them to do is we should do tapping. We should do a bioenergetic synchronization release. We should do a meditation right now. You should go for a walk and think about it. You know, I mean, Ericksonian hypnosis, you know, Milton Erickson, he used to, you need to go take a walk up a mountain. You come back, you'll have your answer. Right? So there's a
Absolutely.
lot of possibilities. That's why I try to learn as many techniques and technologies that I know like have a very high percentage rate of working. And I tune in and test, okay, which one do they need to use? You know, do they need to tune into a past event? Do we need to clear in the DNA? Do we need to clear a hell realm? People have energy stuck in hell realms. You know, if you ever learn about Dante's Inferno, which is a popular book from the 1300s of hell realm and the heaven realms, we get lost in those areas, right? I mean, there's a whole thing with demons and entities that affect you. You know, you can clear those off. Just like you have tapping points, you have ghost points where entities get into your body. And if those are weak, they can slip in, right? I was working with a woman once and she was obviously being affected by other energies. And so I tune into, okay, you have a ghost point this week that we need to correct, and it's on your thumb. The lung meridian is one of those ghost points that you tap. And I didn't see her hands on the screen because she was embarrassed about the infection in her thumb that felt like a hold or a sole. I'm like, geez, this stuff works, man. I'm thinking to myself, you know, and then clear the energy out of there so that can close off and she's not being affected by it, right?
I noticed you combine 9-gamut because I'm also an EFT practitioner, so I see the techniques on how you combine things. I love how you utilize your intuitive guidance on which energy center she is blocked. I wonder how can you help a client? Let's say Siobhan says someone's just going through grieving, say you're not available right now. Can they utilize that on their own in practicing that emotional attunement to their body? Or they're just intuitive guidance? How can someone?
Yeah. You know, on my, if any of you guys are on Telegram, I give a lot of free trainings on how to do stuff like that. And I recently, someone asked about grieving and how do you get over someone. And if it was that specific subject, I would say, okay, you probably have a lot of blocks in the heart. And so could you focus on, okay, even though I feel this in the heart, I still love and accept myself, you know, and then tap all your points. You know, you could do a blanket approach that can be really helpful. and you simply just follow what you notice. You know, the story naturally unfolds, and it will bring you to a past life or a DNA image, or, you know, or this time event, or have you realize, oh my God, I'm being affected by some outside influence. Simply by being aware, clearing the thing you notice. Okay, even though I have this pit in my stomach, I love and accept myself. Oh, now I feel like I have this tension in my heart. Now I love and accept myself. I clear that. Oh, now I feel the tension in my shoulders. Okay, I love and accept myself. Oh, now I remember this time with my grandmother that she was just being, oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
Even though this happened, I love and accept myself. To tap all your points and everything. If you keep moving through it, your mind is naturally going to tell you everything.
Yeah.
So it's not even that you need to have to be smart enough to figure out what to do. It's just the person's going to tell you. Right?
It just
For
comes
them.
to you if you just keep working it and keep asking the question, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I advocate for clients, in terms of their own receptivity when it comes, because someone asked, how can someone know? How does you see chakra? How does someone know when their chakra is blocked? So I find it very altruistic in a sense that I believe someone can also get attuned in it, so they could feel that. And I think you hit the key points in there that I understood, is that the question that you ask to yourself will naturally unfold the stories that we create in our mind that could potentially connect to the past life, that what you were saying. So that's a really great point. And starting with the heart, and I notice you really start with the heart for grieving. So thank you for
Yeah.
that.
That's diagnostically, because a lot of times someone will be stuck in their crown chakra. That's also very common. Or if they have a lot of money issues and they're not trying to find someone to live, they get a root chakra block. So
Yeah.
how do you tune into chakras if you don't know how to that's tough, because it's a whole nother awareness, you know? I mean, over time you can become more aware of it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I can, after working so much, I can feel it, but I'm also diagnostically tuning into it too. So it's
Mm-hmm.
kind of a combination. But you don't have to know the chakra. If you just, hey, feel this weird sensation in my legs that feels like it's cutting off, that's where you start.
And I think it's in those quiet times when you're focused on the question you're asking or the pain that you have. Like I've heard often, like, if you have a pain, feel it. You know, you've got a pain in your arm or something like that, feel the pain. It may be excruciating, but feel the pain. I think my yoga teachers taught me that a long, long time ago. You know, you got a pain in your sciatica, feel it. And it eventually goes away
Mm-hmm.
because somehow your mind is working through it. Is that right?
Your attention goes where energy flows.
Okay.
And what is healing other than your energy flowing and growing? And
Mhm.
your ability to this is, this is uncommon for the normal person, as you're describing. Your ability to just confront is another way to say it, or just allow yourself to be aware of it. That's so key. And a lot of people have blocks there or haven't really practiced that. But the more you ask questions, and I mean, even just the meditation, if I'm just lying there and just, okay, now I feel something on my face. Now I feel something on my leg. And just being aware and allowing your body to tell you the story, you can have a profound experience doing that.
When you're open,
Yeah.
things come to you that are in alignment with you, right? It's like people, right? I know people, I don't like them. Like I know right away. Their energy is repelling to me. And then there are people that it's like I talk to them and I can talk for 2 hours and I feel like I've known them my entire life. That's how Donna and I first connected. It was as if we had been sisters forever.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I just talked to her and talked to her and talked to her and talked to her, and we just talked. And then we started a show together and we didn't even meet for a whole year. And like we didn't meet in person for a whole year after we started the show, the Attitude Shift show. Jillian and I have never met in person, but we have a sisterhood. There's an alignment of energies. It's like where these energies, you know, a lot of people will call them soul connections, or, you know, that we're from the same soul family. I'm open to this kind of stuff, but I'm
Yeah.
also, I pay attention to when I ask what do I need to know today? I listen. I take the I just it's just intuitively I listen.
Hmm.
And then I've just started to, oh, yeah, like I start these realizations. I start getting these realizations.
One question only, because I always believe that everyone is a self healer. And if there's anything that you could recommend for anyone, whether they're in different phases of their journey, their healing, whether it's just starting, whether it's just beginning to get deep into energy healing or energy clearing, perhaps, what would that be, or any practical ways for them to do it on their own that they could start off? I would say it's like a starting kit that they could take away from this show.
Everyone try this. Here's a good one. It's a blanket statement that every time I do it, I can feel the energy just release in the room like pounds of pressure. I love and accept myself with who I am and where I'm at. I love and accept myself with where I am at financially, in my love life. And this might start to bring more stuff up, but, and then allow yourself, if any emotions came up there, it's okay. I feel this way.
Okay,
I'm doing my best.
I'm doing my best.
It may seem a little cheesy, too simple, but that just allows you to be okay with where you're at, which then allows all your story to come to the surface. And if you can just take the attitude that was shared of just being aware and asking questions and being okay with where you're at, the energy will naturally flow and clear, and the mental mass or the energetic mass that's been held and kept in and encapsulated can finally move.
What about people that are really, really, really deeply stuck in trauma, and they've created this space around them that is black, you know?
Yeah,
It,
literally.
maybe
Yeah.
they've allowed those demonic energies to come into their body, and perhaps they've become addicts, or
Yeah.
you know, they're just really mean. They you know, they're the murderers and the thieves in the world, and all those people, those, we're not born to go down that route, so they must be full of such pain.
I have two perspectives on that. First is a real life story of people taking this technique. This, you know, so you heard it, EFT. It originally comes from a technique called thought field therapy. That's where it originally came from. Gary Craig, the first EFT practitioner, learned from my mentors and then kind of made a simpler version called EFT. So that original company, they created this foundation where they went to Rwanda, where there were massacres at an unreal level, where there was so much ridiculous trauma that is just inhumane. Literally, families cut up with machetes in front of each other. And they went over there with a team to show them some basic trauma release patterns. Within a day, they had people who could not sleep because of night terrors and consistently living in PTSD from this event to finally sleep for the first time since that event. They had reported, and there's a documentary on this you can watch. There was a mother who was living in town. Her children were killed. The guy who killed her children lived in town, and she was able to get to a place of forgiveness where she became friends with the guy and forgave him. Right? If you can ever even imagine doing that. And so this became a movement in Rwanda, and they started bringing it to the jail system. And it totally changed their country. And they started to recognize it as a national way of therapy. So it's already been done. and it's been incredible. Like results that like they definitely don't want us to know about. So it's already been done. So that's the first thing. If it can happen, that's fantastic, and you can do it in basic ways, and it can have profound effects. Second, my suggestion is this: if we feel so distraught about something that someone else is doing, why are we so affected by it? Of course, we care. We want everyone to do well. But if we are so affected by other people having experience, everyone has this soul progression. Everyone is on a different track. Everyone has different karma. Everyone's attracting and creating the different experiences. Why do we have to step in and change what someone else is doing? So I would suggest to first clear there. Make sure there's no contractions, there's no triggers, and all your re-stimulated trauma from seeing someone else get beat up is cleared. And then if those people are looking for help, we can help them. You know, we can make it available and make it known that, hey, man, if you really want help, we've got a proven method, right? You can see all these examples we've done. We're here for you. But if they don't want to change, they're not going to change, you know? And so a lot of people come to me, help me change my husband. Like, well, why are you so affected? Because he's triggering me. Well, you guys have do you have a karmic contract where you're pushing each other's buttons perfectly to help you realize all your triggers? Because that's very likely the case, right? Why do we get into the families we've gotten into that just push our buttons so perfectly?
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So if we can clear ourselves first, which I think is more important, and then be available for those, that's the magical combination that can change everything.
Michael Grady, it has been a complete pleasure sharing time and space with you. And Michael, I know you told people they can find you on Telegram and Facebook and through masteryclearing.com. Is that right?
Energyclearingmastery.com.
Energyclearingmastery.com.
I suggest you go there and put your email in for the free workshops we do, and you'll get on our email list. And you can come on a workshop where I break more of this down and give more experiences.
And do you have anything you want to leave the viewers with, some final words of wisdom?
You can freaking do this. You are a seed of God with unlimited potential. And if you can just get past the limitations and the blocks and the traumas and the whatever stories, everything can change. And this world is magical. You transmit a frequency that affects all reality. And if you can change how that energy flows, you're going to create what you want. And it may take consistency, and you may need to work at this for a while, and it's worth it. So don't just start and stop. Keep freaking going. Don't stop. You can do this.
And with that, this has been Feel Good, Share Good's Real Talk, where we keep it real to heal. Thanks for joining us, everyone. We'll see you again next week. Good night.